Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and this is our Avengers Infinity War spoiler discussion, part 3. We did 2 of them live, but we literally had hundreds of questions that you guys sent in still left over. So we're going to do a part 3, and I'm just going to tell you right now, we're not going to get to all of them in part 3. So there's going to be a part 4. There might even be a part 5 when we do this. So this is part 3 right now. And you know what, guys? I am not doing this thing alone. I have joining me here again is our very own Jonathan Voytok, fact checker Jonathan. Jonathan, how you doing?
I'm good. Back by maybe not so popular demand, but I'm back.
Thank you for doing this. This makes it a lot easier for me to do this when I got Jonathan here helping by reading off your guys' questions. All right, with that out of the way, let's dive into the first question today. Jonathan, take it away.
All right, Dante Redgrave, he writes, since Thanos is basically God, there is no way they can walk up and pick a fist fight. He can snap them out of existence. My theory, they'll either outsmart him or convince him to change his mind.
There's another theory, of course, too, and that's, remember when he snapped his fingers after it all happened and he came back after the vision, the gauntlet was kind of mangled. I mean, it was burned up and kind of mangled. Like that huge exertion of power, wiping out half life in the universe was not a small thing, even for the Infinity Gauntlet. It still worked because he was able to summon a portal and go back through the portal to escape Thor, because Thor was about to kill him. But there is the theory out there that he's going to be significantly weakened compared to what he was in Infinity War. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see it, but there are a bunch of other theories as well. All right, what's next?
Okay, Cameron Peterson asks, why didn't they stab Thanos in the throat instead of trying to get the gauntlet off? Star-Lord had every opportunity to kill him, and he just slapped him.
I think there's something we're missing there. I don't think just stabbing him was going to kill him. I don't think a simple stabbing. Plus, remember, Mantis had him under that kind of a spell. A stab probably pulls him out of that spell. And Thanos has a massive healing factor. So you stab him, you pull him out of the spell. And so I think Star-Lord was just angry. He shouldn't have done anything. Of course, we covered why it was understandable that he did. But I think just trying to stab him like some regular thing probably wasn't going to do an awful lot. Plus, don't forget, Doctor Strange said, look, I just looked at 14 million different combinations and possibilities to see which outcomes we win. And I'm sure stabbing him was being stabby was probably one of them. And that didn't work out so well for them either. So that's probably why they didn't do that. All right, what's next?
Valeria262 says, I think Star-Lord was consistent. Same reaction to Ego killing his mom.
He was very consistent. As we talked about, he was also consistent with what other people would have done as well. Like we already talked in the last video about how Tony Stark, when he found out that Bucky was the one who killed his parents, didn't matter that the calm, logical thing was, hey, it wasn't really him. He was brainwashed. It wasn't his fault. Calm logic goes out the window, and he reacted and tried to kill him. Star-Lord, same thing here. I also agree, was pretty consistent. All right, what's next?
Krieger119 asks, over under 50% we get Grey Hulk to come out since Green Hulk wants to be a bitch.
That's actually, there's a few people who have been writing and asking about a potential for a Grey Hulk. And what was his nickname? What was Grey Hulk's nickname in the comics? Was it Mr. Fix-It or something like that? Yeah, and he was like a
yeah,
he was a Vegas henchman, right? Something like that. I don't know if they'll go that way, but it certainly is a possibility. They've opened up the idea, but still, I like the idea of exploring something they've never done with the Hulk character, which is exploring a psychological aspect to him. And let's see what turns out from that. All right, what's next?
Brian Esperanza wonder if Ned, Pepper, Happy, or Shuri fade away.
I have a feeling they don't fade away. I have a feeling if they were to fade away, they probably would have cut to them. Now, granted, they cut to a lot of people dusting, so maybe that would have been a bit too much. My feeling is if we didn't see them dust, they're probably not dusted. Again, I might be wrong about that, but that's just kind of my feeling on it. All right, what's next?
Okay, Kyler Hoddick writes, they can't release a Spider-Man 2 trailer until Peter comes back in Avengers 4, even though it only comes out 2 months later.
It really all depends on what they're going to do with that character. I mean, that is the big problem right now, right? Is that, okay, wait a minute. You just killed Spider-Man. Spider-Man 4 does not come out until just 2 months before Spider-Man Homecoming. Sure, Avengers 4 doesn't come out until 2 months before Spider-Man Homecoming. You'd think you'd have a trailer out for Spider-Man Homecoming 2 before 2 months before the movie comes out. So what do? Look, some people are suggesting they're going to bring Miles Morales into Spider-Man Homecoming 2. I don't think that's what they're going to do, but it's a possibility. What they have in mind, I don't know. It's going to be one of the big mysteries until the movie actually comes out. All right, what's next?
All right, Jericho Leon writes, Thanos was given the gift of knowledge and acted on it with sheer conviction. even suffering loss. Could he be right about the need for balance?
Okay, that's one of the great things about the character is that he believes he's right, and within that, there's something you could see from his point of view. Now, one of the things that I wish they did in Infinity War was have like Gamora or one of the Avengers say to him as he's saying, look, we got to bring balance, there's overpopulation, life itself is going to cease to exist if we don't correct it and check it in place. I wish there was at least one retort made to Thanos. Like Gamora says to him, but you've got to give the worlds that choice. Like you are taking away all millions of worlds as possibilities and options that they can figure this out for themselves. Just because you think none of them can doesn't mean they can't. And you're taking that choice away from them. I wish that one of them had kind of said that back to him just to set it up. So look, is he right? No, he's not right. But is there enough there that you could see why he feels he's right? And yes, you can. And that's one of the things that makes him such an intriguing villain. All right, what's next?
Jake C. wonders, could Groot wield Stormbreaker? He is half of it.
And look, it all depends on, first of all, in the movie, some people believe that it was kind of the hex, if you will, that Odin put on the hammer, that only once Thor was worthy again can he pick it up. And that's why nobody else can pick it up. Okay, that's one possibility. If that's the case, then Odin isn't around to put that hex on Stormbreaker, right? So technically speaking, that Odin curse or blessing or whatever you want to call it that was on Mjolnir is not necessarily on Stormbreaker. Normal people and mortals can't pick it up for different reasons. They don't have the strength to wield it, or their minds will melt or whatever. With the specific stuff with Groot, my thing was this. He's part of it, yes, but once he cut off his arm, it was now a part of Stormbreaker, not a part of him. So I'm going to guess that Groot can't pick it up. That's just my guess. I could be wrong, but that's my guess. All right, what's next?
All right. Derek Woodrin writes, favorite scene was Thor and Guardians.
Well, first of all, there's more than just one scene with Thor and the Guardians. But that scene where they wake him up on the ship and you got Drax the Destroyer going, you are a dude. This is a man, muscular man. What do they call him? An angel... Viking? No, what did he call him? An angel pirate. Angel pirate. Angel pirate, something like that. He had the patch on his eye. That's right. So, I mean, that was a wonderful scene. And of course, his muscles are made out of this. And Starlight, okay, stop touching his muscles. Or I really like when Rocket said, let's face it, Quill, you're one sandwich away from being fat. I thought there was so much good stuff in that one scene. So I totally agree with you. It's not my favorite scene, but it's a wonderful scene. All right, what's next?
All right, Twygriff writes, what do you think Loki meant by, I promise we'll stand in the sunlight again, brother? I really loved Hemsworth acting here, wonderfully balanced.
Look, Hemsworth gave his best performance as Thor ever in this movie. And I don't even think that was his best scene. I think his best scene was when he's talking to Rocket and just running off the laundry list of everyone he's lost. And everything he's lost if you count his hammer, right? There was a mixture of him trying to maintain his bravado, like smiling and jovialness, and yet the wrecked pain on his face, and finally culminating with Rocket saying, and what if you're wrong? And he goes, then what else do I have to lose? It was his best acting in the scene. Also, do not undersell Tom Hiddleston's performance in that scene as well. What did he mean by it? It's basically saying, don't worry, we're going to get out of this. It's really basically it was. I don't think it was foreshadowing anything. Loki can't see the future. So it meant nothing beyond that. I really think it was just Loki saying, hey, chin up, brother. We're going to get out of this. I think that's what he was saying. And clearly he was wrong. All right, what's next?
Okay, Benny95 writes, John, I guess we can't trust Marvel's trailers anymore. Loads of scenes not in the movie from trailers. CGI'd out Spidey's iron limbs, stones, etc.
Yeah, and look, we knew in advance that Kevin Feige, the Russos, Marvel was going to do a lot to misdirect the audience. Because unlike almost all of the other MCU films, this movie was loaded with huge surprises and huge, perception-altering twists in the movie that most comic book movies don't have. Like we've talked about this before, right? Like Ant-Man. Watch the original Ant-Man. It's a great movie, but there's nothing in it that you can call a viewing perception altering spoiler in it. You can find out almost anything about Ant-Man before seeing it, and it's not really going to alter your perception of the movie. Infinity War was different. It was loaded with so many significantly perception altering spoilers. It was crazy. And we knew they were going to do a lot to try to misdirect us. So I don't know if they'll go to that lengths again in the future. Look, I didn't think they CGI'd out the stone in that one Captain America shot. I didn't think they would. And they did, but I still stand by why I didn't think there was no need to. I mean, why not just CGI out the glove? Why not CGI out all the stones? Why not, and seeing that many stones in it doesn't really give anything away either. I still don't know why they did it. The Hulk thing, clearly they wanted to really misdirect us, make us think that Bruce, when he says, come on, I know you'd like to save it for the last second, but it's the last second now, big guy. And we'd all think the Hulk was going to come out, and he didn't. So you're right. We can't really trust the trailers that much, but I totally get why they did it for this movie. All right, what's next?
Okay, Brian Esparza asks, Stormbreaker have same worthy rule as Mjolnir?
Well, again, it really depends on how you want to look at it. It could have been that only the worthy can lift the hammer before Odin put that on. See, you could look at it in some way that Odin put that thing on it specifically for Thor. That even Thor himself now cannot lift this hammer until he becomes worthy of his own name right, as an Odin son, if you will. And therefore, it could have been that no regular mortal could lift the hammer anyway. Or the other way of looking at that some people are suggesting is that Odin putting that curse on it, or blessing, or hex, or spell, whatever you want to call it, is what makes it so other people can't lift it. It really all depends on your point of view. I would love to ask Kevin Feige that question. So as of right now, I'm going to think that yes, the same thing applies to Stormbreaker, but I can have my mind changed about that. I mean, like I said, next time I see Kevin Feige, and maybe I'll see him at the solo premiere, and if I do, I'll ask him that. That's the one question I'll ask him, and then I'll find out for sure. All right, what's next?
All right, Derek Woodren writes, did you like Okoye and Black Widow team up?
Oh my God, yes. When they went to that shot, first of all, you hear, she goes, you're going to die alone. And then you hear Black Widow goes, she's not alone. It shows her. And then it cuts over and Okoye is there as well. It's like, fool, you're in so much trouble now. First of all, Okoye is awesome. I loved Okoye in Black Panther. And I'm so glad to see that they actually put her to use, her and M'Baku as well. They put them really to use in this movie. So yeah, seeing Black Widow and Okoye teaming up, you're just like, whoever, I don't care if the Hulk's standing between them, he's in trouble. Because that was deadly. I love that show. I got chills when the camera panned and showed Okoye there. I thought it was great. All right, what's next?
All right, Nicholas Glenn. John, what is wrong with you? Make her watch Aliens.
Oh, okay, so for those of you who didn't see the original live stream spoiler discussion we had, somebody mentioned Aliens, and Anne brought up that she'd never seen Aliens before. She's never seen the classic sequel, Aliens. To which my jaw just dropped. And I'm like, how have I not known this? So tomorrow night, I think we're planning tomorrow night, Ann and I are going to sit down and watch Aliens when she gets home from work. I think she's going to love it, so I can't wait for her to watch it. All right, what's next?
Ali Hussein says, Thanos was emotional when he killed Gamora. That proves that Thanos really cares about her.
I have no doubt. Like, look, one of the things, I absolutely believe Thanos loved her. I did. Just the way he referred to her, even just the way he said the word daughter. But that is one of the shortcomings of the film. I've said there was too many characters, not enough screen time for everybody. Thanos is the one character who doesn't get underused. But even then, I think they needed like one more scene, like one flashback scene with Thanos and Gamora showing a moment, like flashback 5 years, 10 years, 20, I don't care. Showing a moment of genuine tenderness between them. I think that would have gone a long way. Even like a 30-second scene doing that. I think there are two big relationship shortcomings in here. One, I think they could have really established that affection between Thanos and Gamora a little bit better, although they did a great job with what they had. I also feel like they could have done a little bit more to convince me of the love between Scarlet Witch and Vision. I felt that was just kind of rushed a bit too and said, okay, look, audience, just accept this. And I get it. I totally do. But that is one thing they could have done. But yeah, I still bought that he loved her. I really did. I bought into it. And just, again, they could have used some more shots and some more scenes, but they maximized the impact of the shots and the scenes that they did use. So I was on board with it, Ali, as well. All right, what's next?
All right, Patrick Phillip wants to know, will killing Black Widow get Hulk angry enough to return?
Somebody else brought that up the other day. It's not a bad thing. Like, what is ultimately going to get Hulk to finally come out? Is it going to be a real heart-to-heart that he has with Bruce? Is Thor going to have to, because he's got a better connection. He's got a good connection with Thor as well. It will be a sit down, a 3-way sit down between Thor, Bruce, talking to Hulk inside Bruce. A real popular theory is either witnessing Black Widow dying or Black Widow being in mortal danger. One of the two. You don't have to have her dying. You could just have her in mortal danger. And I've said before, I think in Avengers 4, we are going to see a Hulk that we have not seen yet. I think we're going to see a Hulk that gets close to his actual potential. Because remember, I've been saying this all the time. There is no theoretical limit to the potential of the Hulk. The angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. Theoretically, there's no limit to how strong he could be. I think we've only scratched the surface of a true Hulk rampage. And I think something like that, either Black Widow dying or being in mortal danger, could be the trigger to bring out that Hulk. Now, whether he's green or gray or red or whatever color he is, who knows? But that could be something. All right, what's next?
Click my vid just simply states, like Empire Strikes Back.
A lot of people are comparing this film to Empire Strikes Back. I see some similarities. Not enough that I would definitively call this MCU's Empire Strikes Back. Not because it's not worthy of being called that. No, I think there's enough thematical differences that I wouldn't call it the MCU's Empire Strikes Back. But I can see why other people would, and there definitely are some similarities. All right, what's next?
All right, Malik Beaver writes, Thor, Rocket, and Doctor Strange steal the show for me.
They certainly all have moments that steal the show. I mean, oh my God, that moment when Thor returns to Earth and the theme music blares and he just starts wiping fools out. Oh, and he yells, "Bring me Thanos." I mean, who's saying that? Ain't nobody else is screaming, "Bring me Thanos." Thor does. And it's kind of the climax of all that pain and grief and anguish that we've seen Thor processing through the rest of the film. Again, a little bit shortchanged because of how many characters there were, but still. And then it climaxes in, he's got Stormbreaker now. His lightning is going all over him. Bring me Thanos. Oh my God. Rocket had highlight moments. Oh my God, they all did. They just all did. It was amazing. All right, what's next?
All right, Mike Noir writes, everyone that died before the snap will remain dead. Everyone that died after the snap will return, I guess. Gonna miss Loki, Heimdall, Gamora, and Vision.
I mean, that's the working theory that a lot of people have, including my brother-in-law, Ray, who works with Jonathan and I. We came out of the movie and he said, okay, so my theory is everybody who died before the dusting, they stay dead. Okay, so James Gunn said that Gamora is a key player in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Was that misdirection as well? Maybe. If Gamora's dead, that's a big, big thing. Loki, I believe he is. You can't fake kill Loki again. So I believe Loki is dead. Breaks my heart, but he's dead. Heimdall is dead. So that's the theory I'm going with as well right now. Look, the fact that they're bringing back everybody from the snap, to me, is a cop-out. It's too bad they have to do that because Marvel has already got a bit of a reputation for killing. Just kidding. They're not really dead. They're coming back. And if they do that to the pre-snap people as well, it'll be disappointing. It'll be disappointing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's going to ruin the MCU for me or anything, but it's going to be a bad thing if they do that. All right, what's next?
All right, PJ Barnes writes, love how we can divide this movie into stones. Favorite scenes were probably reality and Soul Stone scenes. The
Soul Stone scene was so great for so many reasons. One, first of all, right off the top, you got Red Skull back, which is great. And it makes perfect sense. It's like sometimes these movies will pull out a character out of left field. This doesn't really make logical sense with Red Skull, considering it was the stone that brought him in. Totally makes sense. Different stone, but still a stone. So that was great. And then, of course, the tears aren't for him. Oh, my God. And then after he throws Gamora off the cliff, that panning shot or that kind of pulling out shot, what do you call it when you're pulling, the camera's kind of pulling back?
Just panning wide? Just pulling out?
It's not pulling focus, but pulling wider at any rate. And you got Thanos there, and he's just, the look on his face and tears coming out of his eyes. Oh, my God, that scene was so good. But yeah, I think that as far as breaking the scene into stones, and then there's the Time Stone one. I mean, the whole battle on Titan over the Time Stone. I mean, so many great moments. All right, what's next?
All right. Alex Von Gollum writes, hi, John. Still shocked and still in need for therapy. Loved it so much. Our heroes still have to find a way to defeat Thanos with all stones and reverse things. So we get more movies, infinity stakes.
I mean, look, there is still a possibility here that Thanos isn't a part of the next movie. How? Well, I'm not sure how, but I'm just saying let's not negate the possibility here that there is, out of the 14 million combinations of realities that Doctor Strange saw, that maybe Thanos is done. He did his thing and he's done. And now they've got to figure out a way to fix it that doesn't involve getting back to Thanos or anything like that. Well, John, how would you do that? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just saying, let's not preclude that as a definite possibility. So we'll have to see. All right, what's next?
All right, Roshan writes, why not use time loop against Thanos like Dormammu?
Probably wouldn't have been affected or effective at that point. Because, first of all, Thanos at that point, I believe at that moment he had 4 stones already. With 4 stones and the amount of power that he had and he was wielding, it's possible the time loop may not have held him. Remember, again, Doctor Strange already calculated out, looking at the 14 different million variables. Time looping was probably one of them and probably didn't work. So that's probably why you didn't see him do that. And he may not have wanted to engage the stone. He might have thought it was dangerous to engage the stone at all with Thanos there. Which Thanos then says, you don't even wield the most powerful weapon at your disposal in fighting me. I mean, so maybe he had something to do there. But I have a feeling it's because in all of his variables, Doctor Strange saw that trying to use the same trick he used on Dormammu wasn't going to work against him. Why it wouldn't have worked, we'll never know. But that's probably, as an audience member, that's what went through my head when thinking about that. All right, what's next?
All right, Nicholas Glenn writes, Captain America had the best entrance in the movie.
Oh, yes, he did. That moment, first of all, the moment when he steps out of the shadows and the audience goes nuts, but then move beyond that. And the very next thing that happens is this badass Black Order warrior throws this mighty weapon and he just plucks it out of the air. I'm like, I just freaked out because you guys know Captain America is my favorite character. So yes, his entrance was amazing. All right, what's next?
All right, Valeria262 writes, Guardians 3 getting Gamora back from Stone?
That's the big question right now because, you know, we've heard James Gunn reference that Gamora would be in Guardians 3. He hasn't said that since the movie came out. Could that be misdirection? Very well could be, might not be, I don't know. This whole notion, though, a lot of people want to suggest, because there's some precedent about, oh, he didn't really kill the people, they're just in the stone. That's not what Thanos said he was doing. And to me, that's a real cop-out. That would be a major, major cop-out to do that. Thanos needed to kill everybody, and he killed them. He didn't need to store them away somewhere so they might come back later. Why would Thanos, if he believes I've got to wipe out half the life in the universe, but you know what? Just in case I change my mind later, instead of just killing them, how about I plant them all in the Soul Stone so they can all come back later? They might do that. I'm not saying they won't. I know well enough to not to say that they won't do that. I'm not saying they definitely won't. I'm just saying I don't think they will. It's definitely possible, but if they do, I'm also going to consider that a major cop-out, huge cop-out. It undermines so much of the emotional impact of Infinity War itself that I really hope that's not the way they're going. All right, what's next?
All right, Ali Hussein writes, I enjoyed the scene when the Guardians and Iron Man and Spider-Man meet up for the first time.
That scene to me was a little bit more awkward, but it was fun. I mean, watching Star-Lord really go toe-to-toe with Iron Man. I mean, and he was kind of taking out Iron Man's guys, and he ends up, it was a nice scene. Again, not as fluid as some of the other big showcase scenes in the movie, but still a nice scene nonetheless. All right, what's next?
Eric G writes, when Mantis is on top of Thanos' head and they do a close-up, for a while I thought that was practical effects. The CGI looked great in this movie.
I'm kidding you not. Anne, coming out of the movie for the first time, she didn't think it was CGI. Not just that one shot. She didn't think Thanos was CGI. She thought Thanos might have been a practical, just James Brolin in a costume. And to make him look big, they pulled the same camera trick that they did in the Lord of the Rings movie with Gandalf in Bilbo's house, making him looking so much bigger than the hobbits. And it's like, no, that was CGI. Oh my God. And look, I'm only pointing this out not to crap on Justice League. It's just to point out what a good job they did in Infinity War. When you compare Thanos, just the look of Thanos, compared to Steppenwolf in Justice League, oh my God. I mean, you'd think one was made 15 years ago and one was made 5 years from now. I mean, the job they did, I don't know what you think about this, Jonathan, but the one shot that to me looked, okay, this now feels animated. It's the weirdest little shot. Mm-hmm. It's the shot when Thanos is in his throne room on the ship and he's got Gamora there. Mm-hmm. It's that scene where she's like, I hate this chair, I hate this room.
Right.
It's like, I've heard. The camera pulls into a wide shot and you see Thanos' back and he's just walking by her, goes, so I've been told. And he like takes a couple steps up the stairs. That weird little nothing shot was to me the one time that I went, okay, now he looks like a CG character.
It had a little bit of a sponginess to it, yeah.
Yeah, just whether it was the movement or the texture, I'm not sure what it was, but it just...
Or maybe it was some like pickup later and they just didn't have time to finalize it as well or texturize it as well. I know what you mean, though.
Yeah, which is kind of funny because when you consider all the action and fighting, those are the times you would think it would not look right.
Right.
Yet it's in this little simple thing of like, it's really weird. All right, what's next?
Okay. Eric G writes, Javier Belmer writes, many people call this the next Empire Strikes Back, and I gotta agree, because I didn't grow up with the Star Wars original trilogy, I'm assuming that's what OT is, and I love the films, but I feel a connection to the MCU films. Years ahead, I'll look back on this film.
Well, we won't know that for sure until 10 years from now. And that's rather, I mean, I know over I've been doing this now since, I've been doing film punditry since 2003. And in that time, lots of movies come out where people say, this is my greatest movie ever. And I'll be talking about that. And now nobody talks about that anymore. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen with Infinity War. Certainly not. But it is simply impossible to say. It's simply impossible to say until 5, 6, 7, 10 years pass. When that happens, oops, and I forgot to reset my camera. Sorry about that, guys. When that happens, you've got to give it a little bit of time to see if that's what actually happens. You got to give it the 10 years to see if that truly does withstand the test of time. Because I've seen thousands of occasions when people said, this movie is going to stand the test of time. Me too. Like, guilty right here. And only to like 6, 7, 8 years later go, oh yeah, that movie existed. I mean, so we're just not going to know, no matter how great we think it is at the moment. But let's give it some time and see what happens. All right, what's next?
All right, Alan Gonzalez asks, do you think we will see the ending of this movie at the same time in Ant-Man?
I got a feeling they're going to sync up at some point. Whether, like, my feeling right now is, and I got nothing to base this on, is that Ant-Man and the Wasp is going to end with a scene of some people dusting. Well, at some point, they're going to need to see news reports of an alien ship over New York City. I mean, that's got to happen. So whether the movie ends at that point with them seeing the news that alien ships over New York, or how much time do you think passes between the ship showing up and the actual end of the movie? How much time do you think actually passes?
Of Infinity War.
Yeah.
That honestly can only be a couple days because it's that night in somewhere in Europe where they find Vision and then they get to Wakanda. It can only be like 48 hours.
Yeah. So whether it's a 1 day, 2 days, whatever. So the question then becomes, in Ant-Man and the Wasp, if it does get close to the Infinity War timeline, they have to hear about a giant alien ship over New York City. You got to hear about that. But then does Ant-Man and the Wasp then go on for 2 more days? Till the dusting starts to happen. So where does it end? Does it end before the alien ship shows up? Does it end with the alien ship showing up and them going, oh gosh, we better get to New York, or like that? Or do they hear about the alien ship and going, okay, look, the Avengers are going to have that. We need to keep focusing on Ghost, who is the villain in Ant-Man and the Wasp. And then maybe, who knows? I have a feeling it's either with the ship showing up or dusting, that's where it'll end, on one of the two. How they're going to do it, I don't know, but we're just going to have to wait and see. All right, what's next?
I'm kind of thinking it's going to be an end credit scene.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense too. Let's see.
We'll see. All right. Brian Esparza writes, what if heroes didn't die but are in the Soul Stone?
Kind of already covered that a little bit. Like to me, it would be a cheap cop-out. It would be a really cheap cop-out. It is a possibility. It is. I'll just be disappointed in them if that's what they do. All right, what's next?
Laurie Scott writes, funniest moments, Cap so politely introducing himself to Groot.
Yeah.
Bucky picking up Rocket and spinning. The Cloak watching Peter and Tony argue. Pirate Angel. Bruce calling Hulk a big green a-hole.
To me, the funniest moment of the movie, is a line that a lot of people missed because they were already laughing at something else. It's Rocket talking to Bucky. He says, "How much for the gun?" And people start laughing. So the first time I saw the movie, a lot of people missed the next line. Or no, when he goes, "How much for the arm?" And people start laughing when he says that. And Bucky just looks at him and walks away. And they miss the next line. But the next line is Rocket going in his Rocket devious voice, "Oh, I'm going to get that arm." That is the line that killed me. Totally killed me. Of course, he never does get a chance to get that arm. But that's my favorite. But all the lines you mentioned, Laurie, are fantastic. But that's the line for me. All right, what's next?
All right, C Spice writes, "So is Gamora really dead or nah?"
I mean, look, the soul said, hey, soul for a soul. You got to sacrifice that which you love. Sacrifice doesn't mean tuck away somewhere. It means kill. At least I think. So I got to believe she's dead. Whether or not Marvel's going to keep her dead or pull the old Marvel, not really dead. I don't know. I believe she is dead at the moment. She's dead. And I just hope they keep her dead. Not because I don't love the Gamora character. I do. I love that character. I mean, she does such a great job playing it as well. But if you kill the character for a big emotional moment in the movie, don't undermine that moment now later on. Just kidding. She's back. Everything's fine. I really hope they don't do that. But we'll have to wait and see. All right, what's next?
Typewriter Tango asks,
what a great name.
Do you think that Captain Marvel will tie into Avengers 4 like the first Avenger did for the first Avengers, where she receives the message from Fury?
I don't think so. I don't think in that way. I think it's going to be a self-contained movie. Look, there's a possibility Thanos might even have a cameo in it for some reason. Like, we know there's going to be an alien thing going on. There could be references to Thanos. Who knows? But I don't think it's going to end modern day with her receiving the message. I don't think that's what they're going to do. Could be wrong, but I don't think so. All right, what's next?
Laurie Scott writes, why is it that people who can't handle Thanos winning and don't see this as a complete movie love Civil War when Zemo won in that movie?
That is one of the biggest questions to me about, it really does drive me crazy. Look, all film's subjective, yes, but this one really drives me crazy. It's still subjective, it's just my point of view, but it drives me nuts. When I see people say, this was only really half a movie. No, it is not. By every definition, this is a full, complete, standalone film. Just like every Marvel film has been a full, complete standalone film that also ties into future chapters of the MCU. This one will tie into future chapters, absolutely, particularly Avengers 4. But this movie was a beginning, a middle, an end. It had its introduction, its setup, and its conclusion. The only difference between this and every typical movie is that it's the bad guy who wins at the end. But it is. He wins at the end, it's done. Now there's going to be a next chapter, like there is for every MCU film. There's going to be a next chapter, yes, that builds upon, plays off of, and ties into this movie, for sure, but that does not negate in any way, shape, or form that this was a complete movie. As far as Zemo goes, I didn't even think Zemo won. I didn't think Zemo was even needed. I think that movie finishes there, even if Zemo's not a part of it. But that's just my kind of thought on it. But yeah, it does drive me crazy when I hear people say, oh, this only felt like half a movie. No way. No way. You will never convince me otherwise of that. All right, what's next?
All right. Brian asks, or actually writes, I love the shot of Rocket Bucky spinning and shooting.
It's a great shot. And, you know, that would make a great poster. There are about 5 or 6 great poster moments in this movie. That is certainly one of them. All right, what's next?
All right, Nathan C. writes, work ran late, just got here, but my boss bought me IMAX tickets for raising $300 for charity.
That's a great boss.
Yep. Has anyone asked if this changes what you say about no one making films about a villain? I'm gonna get that arm.
You know, that's a really good question. Like, because we've never really had a movie about the villain. Normally, they say it's about, like, just for instance, Suicide Squad, right? This is a movie about the bad guys. Yeah, but they're all acting like good guys. So I don't buy that. Well, they're making a Venom movie. Yeah, but even the trailer calls him an anti-hero. Like, he's not the villain, you know? So this, it's hard to say. Because it's not like it's a movie in a vacuum that just came out of nowhere. This is a movie about Thanos. It's with the setup and standing as a part of the overall Avengers structure. So it's difficult to say. I'll say this, it's the closest, if it's not truly a movie about the villain, then it's the closest thing we've ever had. Let me think about it more, but I'll say that. If it's not actually a true standalone movie about a villain, then it at least is the closest thing we've ever had. So it's something worth thinking about, but I got to see the movie 7 or 8 more times to really formulate that. All right, what's next?
All right, Haskell11420 writes, "Hi, John and Ann. Good afternoon. Feige said Ant-Man and Wasp takes place after the events of Civil War under house arrest, but before Infinity War. Over under 35% will see Ant-Man and the Wasp both disappear in the end of the movie."
Take the way under on that, because in some set photos, you don't want to read too much into out of context set photos, but in the set photos we saw from the set of Avengers 4 that have leaked, Ant-Man's there. So I gotta believe, and I think that's going to have something to do with Hank Pym's understanding and expertise of the quantum realm. I think that's going to be part of it. So maybe Wasp, but I don't think Ant-Man. Could be wrong about that, but that's what my thinking is right now. So I'll take the under on 35%. All right, what's next?
Silas Pierce writes, "Will they wait to market Spider-Man 2 because he's dead?"
Again, that's the biggest question. It's like, oh, what do you have Spider-Man die, and just 2 months after Avengers 4, you've got his next movie. Again, a lot of possibilities. Do they do Miles Morales? Do they do something else? We covered this a little bit earlier today, but that is the big question. I don't know how they're going to handle it. I really, really don't. Do they wait until after Avengers 4 comes out to start marketing Spider-Man Homecoming 2 that late? I've never seen MCU start marketing a film within 8 weeks of the movie coming out. Maybe they do it this time. I don't know. It's just, who knows what they're thinking over there. All right, what's next?
Alan Gonzalez writes, "Next movie, Avengers Back to the Future."
All you need is Doc Brown. All you need is Doc Brown showing up because Pepper's pregnant. Comes up, "It's your kids, Tony. It's your kids." All right, what's next?
Cole Scott writes, "I loved it when Loki said, and we have a Hulk."
Perfect line, because if you even forget that line was said in the first Avengers movie, forget that. It was just a great line standalone in and of itself, saying, "Oh, and we have a Hulk," and boom, Hulk, in perfect timing. The fact that it was a callback line to something that they had in the first Avengers movie just made it all the more sweet. I absolutely loved it. All right, what's next?
Charleston T writes, "My favorite conversation is between Cap and Ross."
Oh, yeah. He goes, "So we're here to fight. And if you want to get in our way, we'll fight you too." And he starts off with, "I'm way beyond asking permission." It's like Captain America. He has this many fucks to give now. He just does not care anymore. He's there to protect the world. And if you want to get in his way from protecting the world, he'll deal with you too. I loved it. And again, I mentioned this before, but I will say it again. Rhodey's response puts a button on it. It ends the whole debate and discussion about Captain America Civil War. Whose side are you on, Team Tony or Team Cap? By the end of that movie, Civil War, Tony was on Team Cap. By this scene, we see War Machine is also Team Cap. They both realized, oh yeah, working with you was a bad idea. Saying that we're putting ourselves under the rule of thumb of you guys was a bad idea. And even Rhodey, who was the strongest supporter, other than Tony, of the whole Sokovia Accord thing, his signature's on it, even he finally realizes this was a mistake, and he sides with Captain America. So it says a lot there, but yeah, I love that whole conversation. To me, my favorite conversation is still the one between Rocket and Thor about all the losses Thor has had, but it was a great conversation for sure. All right, what's next?
All right, Brian writes, "I'll do you one better. Why is Gamora?"
It's funny because I think I mentioned this on Open Mic earlier today. When I heard that line, I didn't think it was funny. But everybody in the theater was roaring at it. And I'm like, I think I'm the only guy who doesn't get it. What was your reaction to that, Drew?
I was one of the ones laughing.
See, I'm the odd guy out then, because everybody, all 3 screenings I've seen, people lost their minds. I still don't think it's that funny. But yeah, all right. It worked for everybody else. All right, what's next?
All right.
Mike?
Well, let me find out where I am. Okay, Mike Noir, yes. So many moments I enjoyed, even minor. Seeing Falcon and War Machine with that air support was great.
Oh, that was wonderful. And one of the best things about this movie was that they gave everybody their moments. And oh, wow, the air support provided by both Rhodey and Falcon was great. That when Rhodey started carpet bombing the monsters coming through, I think those were the Marauders, like when he started carpet bombing, that looked awesome. Yeah, those were great moments. I really appreciated that too. All right, what's next?
All right, so Brahman Yum writes Thor, Rocket, and Groot in Niva Delir. I can never pronounce
it either.
Niva Delir kind of felt like Finn and Rose in Canto Bight. I wish that precious screen time could be used someplace else.
I don't know about that, man. I mean, the origin of Stormbreaker, it felt rushed, but a lot of stuff in this movie felt rushed. I mean, it's 28 major characters, not counting all the villains. Everything in this movie felt rushed. It did feel a little bit rushed to me, but I gotta tell you, I dug it a lot. Like finding out how Thanos got the gauntlet in the first place. A great demonstration of just how tough Thor is, taking the full force of a sun just to get this damn thing made. Groot, really, it's the one time in the movie that Groot shows that he ideologically is getting on board with it, because he goes over and realizes, I got to step up, goes and puts Stormbreaker together with his own arm, cuts his arm off. I think a lot of significant things happened in that moment. I mean, was it used to its full effectiveness? I don't think so. But I wouldn't compare it to Canto Bight myself, but you do, and that's totally cool. But for me, it kind of worked. All right, what's next?
All right, DC1EM1 writes, I meant Nebula on my previous question, sorry.
Well, since I'm not even quite sure I remember which question we're talking about, I'll just take your word for it. All right, what's next?
Alex Pitt writes, will Loki, Gamora, and Vision stay dead?
All I can say is that I hope so. I mean, look, lots of theories. Shuri downloaded Vision before his body got killed. Okay, so another fake death. Gamora's just actually in the Soul Stone. Okay, so another fake death. Loki, I believe, yes. They've fake killed him so many times, I don't believe there's any way you can bring him back at this point. Although I'm disappointed they're saying that the God of Mischief can die just by having his neck broken. That seems a little odd to me, but still it was a very emotional death. I liked it. It seemed like a great finale to the character. Dying, trying to save his brother. I mean, he died redemptively. He died like Boromir died in Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. He was an ass. He redeems himself, sacrificing himself, trying to save the others. So I hope they all stay dead, not because I don't love the characters, I do, but because you killed them. So you got to keep them that way. Anyway, that's just my thought.
Thanos, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Thanos did make an interesting comment in that scene after Loki died and he blows up the ship. He says, I'll make sure like they can't be resurrected.
No more resurrections this time.
And he uses the Power Stone when he kills them all and burns them.
And so like a lot of people have asked, wait a minute, so was that a wink to the audience, like a nod to the audience? Some people interpreted that as a nod, if you will, to people like me who have whined and bitched and moaned about all the fake killings in the MCU. That has been the one big problem to me of the MCU. How many times they've gone back to the well of fake deaths till finally, Quicksilver in Ultron, right?
Right.
So some people think that his no resurrections this time, that was like Thanos giving a little bit of a nod to the audience. If it's not a nod to the audience, what is he, can he see all? Did he know everything that happened with Loki before? And if so, does that only refer to Loki? Mm-hmm. Or is that a nod to everybody who dies in this movie is dead? And hey, by the way, it's possible that everybody who dies in this movie stays dead. Mm-hmm. Maybe that Sony Marvel deal doesn't actually extend to a Homecoming movie too. Maybe the Sony Marvel deal's done now and Sony's actually taking Spider-Man back and this was all part of the plan. I mean, I don't know. There's so many possibilities here. My head is just going to explode thinking about it. All right, what's next?
Kevin Campbell writes, thoughts on the scene at the end with young Gamora and Thanos. What does it mean?
I don't think it really means much and I don't think it was real. Like, I don't think it was an actual ghost of a young Gamora. I think it was just more his own vision, you know? And look, let's look at it two ways. One, if it's a real thing, and it is the ghost of Gamora, and she asks him, what did it cost you? And he says, first of all, it's devastating the way he says it, everything. And she smiles. Is that her being happy that it cost him everything? Is that her being happy that he equates losing her as losing everything? I mean, there's a lot of different ways to look at it, but it all depends on, was that real or was that just his own imagination? It depends. If it's real, it's powerful. If it's his own imagination, it's powerful. Either way, it's a great scene. All right, what's next?
Natasha Scott writes, it's a film in its own right, but next could be part 2 still. Captain Marvel is 90s, and speculation Ant-Man and Wasp is pre-Infinity War, post-credit. My favorite MCU.
Again, though, it's no more Part 2 than Empire Strikes Back is just Star Wars Part 2. No, it's its own movie, but it's connected to a larger story as well. Ultron isn't just Avengers Part 2. Avengers is Avengers Part 1, and Ultron is Avengers Part 2. They're parts of the same continuous story, but they're their own self-contained films at the same time. I have no doubt that Avengers 4 is going to be the continuation and the next chapter of the story. Sure. However, it's its own self-contained movie. Like this whole argument about Part 1, Part 2, this goes back a couple of years because a lot of people said, oh, when they said there's going to be Avengers 3 and 4, people said, oh, they've split the next movie in two. Kevin Feige came out and definitively put that to rest. He said, no, these were always planned as two separate films. They're all part of the one continuous story, yes, as are all chapters in the MCU. But it's not a Part 2, and that's why they changed the name. Because they realized calling it Infinity War Part 1 and Infinity War Part 2 was confusing people into thinking it's just one movie that's been split up into two, and each one was not its own complete movie. That's why they changed the name, because people were just getting confused. Because Kevin Feige has said repeatedly, these were always planned as two separate chapters. These are two separate stories that are completely connected, but so are all the other ones. So it's confusing a lot of people, but no, I still don't see it as a Part 2 per se. Like, it's different from like the Harry Potter, right? What was it? What was the last one
Deathly
called?
Hallows, yeah.
Okay, Deathly Hallows Part 1 and Deathly Hallows Part 2, because it was one book, and they did split that one book into two separate movies. This was not one story that they were going to do as one movie, and then they split it into two. Kevin Feige's laid that to rest. So that's why I don't really see it that way. But then again, it may all just be semantics, and maybe we're all saying essentially the same thing anyway. We're just wording it differently. Totally possible. All right, what's next?
Trent Stewart writes, Ebony Maw kind of reminded me of Paul Bettany in A Knight's Tale when he was praising Thanos.
Hear everybody, the glorious thing. He really was, right? Yeah. Ebony Maw in many ways was Thanos' hype man.
Right.
He was Flavor Flav to Thanos' Chuck D. I mean, that's what, hey boy, I mean, that's really what he was. But he's so good. I ate up. He was not the traditional bad guy's henchman. He was, and somebody said it as a joke, but they were absolutely right. Somebody said Ebony Maw, top 5 MCU villains of all time. And you're damn right he is. He was fabulous. Not only because he was so unfreaking believably powerful, he was incredible. The only way Iron Man, Spider-Man teaming up could do anything about it is just to pull a fast one, blow a hole in the hull of the ship to suck him out into space. They couldn't take him on. Even together, they couldn't take him on. And he was so eloquent, the way he spoke and carried himself like a son of a bitch and just keeps one hand behind. He was so awesome. It was actually heartbreaking to me to see him die. He was such a great character. All right, what's next?
All right, Ray writes, hi, John Supporter here. If this was asked already, sorry, but I want to make sure I got this in. Who do you think we will see in Ant-Man that will be snap killed?
Again, it all depends on when that movie ends. Do they end it prior to the events in Infinity War? Do they end it at the spaceship showing up in New York? Do they end it with the dusting? Or as Jonathan's suggesting, do they do it as like a post-credit scene? If somebody dusts, I think it will be Wasp, because that does two things. Number one, it extra motivates Ant-Man. Number two, it extra motivates Hank Pym, the foremost expert on the quantum realm, to get involved, work with Stark. Something he would never want to do again is to work with a Stark, but it would motivate him to work with Stark, work with Banner, work with Shuri, get all the most brilliant minds in the world to try to solve this problem. That would make sense. So if anybody's going to get dusted in it, I'm guessing it's going to be Wasp. If you had to guess, Jonathan, who do you think gets dusted?
I think it's going to be Wasp as well. I'm also thinking, like, what if Hank Pym's wife does come back from...
well, we know Michelle Pfeiffer is in the movie.
And not just as a flashback. What if she also gets dusted? It's like he finally gets her back, and then she dusts.
Oh, that's dark, man. That's morbid.
That's more DC universe, right?
That's
so
more
like Deadpool.
He finally gets her back. He gets her back. Oh, honey. And then instantly she turns to dust.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that would be brutal.
Sorry, I get a little dark.
All right, what's next?
All right. Nathan notices Captain America has a Georgia area code.
That was probably, because of course on the phone, that was probably a little shout out to the fact that Marvel shoots a lot of its films in Atlanta and in Georgia. So I visited Atlanta for, I don't think you went with us. We went for the big AMC leadership conference. Loved that city. It was a great city. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, that was probably a little shout out to Atlanta because they shoot so much of their stuff there. All right, what's next?
Trevor Wood Music writes, is it at all possible that Marvel announced sequels to Spidey and Black Panther and maybe Guardians just to cover their tracks without ever having any intention to make them? I'd love that, but doubt it.
It's possible. Let's remember, there is no official Black Panther sequel named. They said they're going to do it. I remember they're saying, we're going to do it, but right now, Ryan Coogler isn't signed on to direct it yet. So, hey, it's possible, but you just, after all these years, get Spider-Man into the MCU. You just have Black Panther get $1.3 billion at the box office, the highest grossing MCU film not called Avengers. And you're going to just kill him and not do sequels? But people, artistically, it may make a lot of sense. I'm telling you right now, maybe Kevin Feige pitched that idea by Bob Iger. I can just see Bob Iger patting Kevin on the head saying, that's adorable, Kevin. That's adorable. But no, you cannot do that. Go make my Black Panther 2 and make me another Spider-Man movie. So, I mean, it's possible. But oh my God, like how ballsy would it be?
That would be gangster. But
like that would like straight up gangster. Like they
that's
did
like, we got so much money. We don't even need this extra money. But I don't think that exists in Hollywood. That mentality does not exist in Hollywood.
No, it does not. All right, what's next?
All right. Benny95 writes, favorite scene? Mine was fight against Thanos on Titan.
Well, look, overall favorite scene, again, is the Rocket Thanos scene. Overall battle, like fight sequence, the fight on Titan was spectacular, but I'm going to go with Wakanda because there was so much involved in that and it was so drawn out and so many great things happening in it. I'll go with that one myself personally. All right, what's next?
All right, Matt Glacier writes, it's great that after 10 years of using the villain to further the hero's development, they turned it on its head and made a masterpiece. All hail Feige.
Look, and that's why I say, clearly, Thanos is the greatest villain they've ever had in the MCU, and I believe there's an argument to be made he's the greatest villain in any comic book movie. Yes, that includes The Dark Knight. I believe there's an argument to be made he's the best character ever. I'm not saying Josh Brolin's performance was better than Heath Ledger's performance, his Academy Award-winning performance, but we're not talking about the performance, we're talking about the character. I think there's an argument to be made it's the greatest character, villainous character we've ever had in the MCU. And maybe in all of comic book movies. So yeah, you're right. They turned it on its head and they did an amazing job with it. It was great. All right, what's next?
Borman writes, I love Thor and Rocket's chemistry. Put Thor in Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
It seems the chemistry was good. The chemistry was very good. Could it wear out over the course of a movie? Maybe, maybe not. Plus you have the King of Asgard. He's got a lot he's got to do. Remember, half of Asgard is still alive. So you got the King of Asgard, the God of Thunder, more powerful than he's ever been. Does that character fit in with just, I'm just going to be a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy? I don't know. I definitely want to see more scenes, but an entire movie of it, I'm not so sure. I don't think that's what they're going to do, and I'm not completely positive it's what I would want either. Although I did love their scenes together in this movie, I'm not quite sure you can make an entire series out of it. You know what I'm saying? That's just my thought. All right, what's next?
Elim writes, Thanos obsessed with Infinity Stones and bubbles?
The bubble stuff was great. I mean, I loved when they went, not only in, first of all, it was great when he used it on Peter's gun when he's saying, go ahead, shoot Gamora, but he was never going to let him shoot Gamora. The bubbles, but then it turns to bubbles again. So yeah, you're right. I thought maybe he just would have had the knife disappear, but he had to turn to bubbles. So maybe we'll see more bubbles in Avengers 4. Who knows? All right, what's next?
Confima, do you think the Outriders had symbiotes on them?
I've heard a couple of people mention that. No, I do not believe that was part of it at all. I can see why the initial question come up, the color, the teeth, but no, I don't think that was part of it at all. All right, what's next?
All right, Kieran writes, will the old Avengers DOE bringing new back? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're writing there.
Like Soul for a Soul. Also, Thanos looked like he was on a farm at the end, like the comics. Love your vids.
There are some people thinking, I'm also not sure what it is you're asking in the first part there. So I'll just go to the second part. There are some people who think that maybe that world he's on is Gamora's old world. That maybe he went back to Gamora's old world that he says is now a paradise, and he went there to fully enjoy what he did and watch the sunrise on a grateful universe, as he put it. That's maybe where he is. It's a good theory. All right, what's next?
All right. Alan Gonzalez writes, the FX in this movie and the fact that 2 hours passed by so quick was good.
The visual effects were stunning. Absolutely stunning, especially on Thanos. But all of the Black Order and all of the Marauders and all of the Avengers stuff, it was just so great. And yes, to me, it felt like a 2.5 hour movie, but it didn't feel like it dragged at all. It was a long movie for sure. It's 2.5 hours, but it was a crisp 2.5 hours. It really worked. I still too many characters, but they did the absolute best with it that they could have. All right, what's next?
All right, Sela writes, my favorite moment is when Thor used Stormbreaker to slam dunk those aliens.
Oh.
Man, the camera work right there gave me chills. Then Thor said, give me Thanos.
Yeah, bring me Thanos. After wiping out all these, like, he's got this new weapon, a king's weapon, as Dinklage said. And now he's got all the confidence in the world and he's looking to hunt Thor. It was a beautiful moment in the film, absolutely. And the music score that hits at that moment, I didn't even really notice the score in the movie, in much of the movie. But that was one of the moments that it really stood out to me and really added to the shot for sure. All right, what's next?
Mike writes, Thor has lost so much over the years.
It is. You know what? It's when he sits there and starts going over the list that you realize, oh my God, yeah, you know what? He didn't even mention the Warriors 3 because he lost them right at the beginning of Ragnarok. I do wish a little bit more of a mention was given to them at the beginning. And by the way, where is Lady Sif right now? We still don't know where Sif is, but it is true. He's lost his mother. He lost his father. He lost his hammer. He lost his brother. He lost his best friend. He lost his home world, and he's lost half the population of his people. Oh my God, like how much can one character take? And that's why it was such a beautiful scene, and the brokenness while trying to maintain a strong veneer of that scene between him and Rocket was just so perfect. All right, what's next?
Third Man 3 writes, we all expected Loki to bite it. Imagine if it were reversed and Loki had to watch Thor die and then go avenge.
You know what? Somebody brought that up before the movie came out. Because, I mean, I and many of you have been saying for months, Loki bites it in the first 10 minutes of the movie. Like, he's just going to die in the first 10 minutes. But then I remember somebody bringing up, what if this is a little bit of misdirection and it's Thor who dies in that scene? And Loki goes and allies himself with the other Avengers. Again, stone balls, man. Like giant stone balls. But, I mean, we needed Thor around just for that final battle. We needed Thor around. He is an OG Avenger. He is one of the, if not the most powerful there is out there. So we needed to have him. But yep, it would have been stone balls. All right, what's next?
Luna Comics writes, I'm so glad Doctor Strange learned new spells. Thanos versus Strange, hands down best fight.
Yeah, it is. And remember, a lot of people just think, okay, now he's Doctor Strange. Remember, he's still not the Sorcerer Supreme yet. And I love that we saw the progression and the growth and the empowering of Doctor Strange in this. But I still don't think we've seen the most powerful Doctor Strange yet. He still hasn't even become the Sorcerer Supreme yet. So there's still more to go, but they showed us a whole bunch of new stuff and showed us his growth. It was great. Yeah, he was one of the highlights. His one-on-one fight against Thanos, one of the highlights of the movie. Absolutely was. All right, what's next?
All right, Teresa Malikova writes, Spidey 2 set before Infinity War, so no spoilers in marketing?
If they did, that would be 3 films in a row that they do that they say happens before the events of Infinity War. And doing that, you undo a lot of the Spidey stuff you do in the movie. I don't know. It's definitely a possibility. It does solve their problem. It solves their marketing problem about how do you market this movie if he's dead and coming back before Avengers 4 and all this kind of nonsense. Saying, like Captain Marvel and like Ant-Man, it happens before the events of Avengers 4. You can do that. You can. But it seems like a little bit of a cheap out when you consider that'll be 3 films in a row that they do that with. Is that going back to the well one too many times? I don't know. It's certainly a possibility, and it does solve one of the problems. It seems like a bit of a stretch show at this point, but who knows? We'll have to wait and find out. What's next?
All right, Banned for Telling Truth writes, there's another gauntlet shown in the film where Stormbreaker was forged.
It wasn't a gauntlet. That was a mold. I believe that was the mold. I don't think it was the actual, it wasn't an actual gauntlet. It was a mold for a gauntlet. I believe that's what it was you're looking at. All right, what's next?
Valeria writes, Thanks retires as a farmer. I think she meant Thanos retires
Probably
as a
meant
farmer
Thanos.
in 4, like the comics.
Yeah, and you sit there and that little smile of self-satisfaction on his face. It's actually a really good moment. If he was the hero of the movie, it's a great moment for the hero. Of course, he's not the hero. He's the villain who just committed mass murder on a scale. What is it the Doctor Strange said? Hitherunto before unknown or something along those lines.
Did you
something
say
like that.
hitherto?
Yes. Did you say hitherto? Did you just lean on the cauldron of space or whatever it was called? All right, what's next?
All right. Tina Svaldo writes, I feel like maybe Gamora may still come back as her soul was traded for the Soul Stone, but other pre-snap deaths are permanent.
Here's the thing about that. You'd think if it was just the soul that some soul thing would come out of her and then her body collapses. He killed her. He threw her off a cliff and killed her. Look, may she come back? Yes. I'm just going to be disappointed if she does. There's many ways you can say she can come back, just like there are many ways you can say any character in a comic book movie can come back. But should you bring her back? Man, again, to me, it's just going to undermine the power of that scene. Like, years from now, I'll never be able to watch that scene again and feel the power of it if I know that, oh yeah, don't worry about it, guys. Like 18 months later, they bring her back to life. No big deal. It will be unfortunate if they do that. I hope they don't, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and see what they have in mind. I'm just right now, it doesn't feel good to me if they do it. All right, what's next?
All right, Valeria says, damn autocorrect about the thanks.
Oh yeah, about the thanks. All right, what's next?
Ali Hussein writes, Nick Fury always has a code red and backup plans. Does that mean that Captain Marvel existed a long time in the MCU, but he never needed her help until now?
Well, I mean, I think we're going to have to find out. We can build all types of theories around it. And over the next year, it's going to be fun to build our theories. But the reality is, until we see the movie, Captain Marvel, we're not going to know what the answer to that is. Because everybody's asking, like, if he's got a way to contact Captain Marvel, why not do it when there's an alien invasion invading New York City, the events of Avengers 1? Why didn't he do it then? Who knows? I'm sure there will be some kind of reason or explanation given in Captain Marvel when we get around to see it. But until that movie comes out, all we're really doing is baselessly speculating, which is what we as film fans like to do. And I'm sure we're going to do a lot of it. But for now, we'll just say we'll have to wait and see. All right.
Elam Rem writes, Loki went to hell as hell. Maybe he'll be back.
Again, with every character, you can come up with 15 different ways they can come back because it's a comic book movie. But again, it'll be a cop-out if they do, and it'll undermine the power of those scenes if they do. And then again, it'll reinforce in any MCU movie, there's never any real stakes because they all just come back to life anyway. You know, I was saying before, and I'll say it again, you didn't need to kill going into this movie, I thought you don't have to kill anybody for there to be stakes. James Bond has had 25 movies, never dies. Does that mean you never feel stakes in the movie? Of course you do. But what can hurt the sense of stakes is killing people that you just bring back later anyway. That erodes the emotional impact of any loss in these movies when you just know they're just going to come back later anyway. The MCU's got to start killing people and keeping them dead, like they did with Quicksilver, like they've apparently done with the Warriors 3. You got to get into that habit, or else when people die, you just go, oh, well. Because for me, I'll be honest with you, as great as the scene with Spider-Man dying was, and Tom Holland played it great, it affected me maybe 30% as much as it could have because I knew, oh yeah, he's turning to dust, but no worries, he's coming back in less than a year. He'll be back in less than a year. I know that. So yeah, it's still a nice scene, beautifully played, but it didn't have that that really hits you. It didn't have that for me because I know Marvel just brings everybody back that they kill anyway. Particularly, we know Spider-Man's come back. So for me, it lost a lot of the oomph. Anyway, that's just me. And if they do it to Loki, oh my God. All right, what's next?
So Brahman Yan writes, is Loki now redeemable for Attack on New York?
It all depends on what you want to say. Look, for us as fans, and certainly in Thor's eyes, he's redeemed. How many people's deaths did he cause, though, in the attack on New York? Like I never heard a final number. How many people died in that attack? Was it dozens? Was it hundreds? Was it thousands? I don't know. I don't remember hearing a final number on that. Does saving his own brother's life redeem all of that? It depends on whose eyes you're talking about. On the family's eyes? Like if people died in New York, in their family's eyes, no, that does not redeem them. In Thor's eyes, maybe it does. As in the audience eyes, maybe it does. I don't think he's completely redeemed, but he certainly died a redemptive kind of death. Again, much like Boromir in Lord of the Rings. All right, what's next?
Kevin Campbell writes, during the Thor's scenes with Dinkeldwarf, we see another Infinity Gauntlet mold. The camera focuses on it for a couple of seconds to make sure you see it. Could this second gauntlet come into play?
You know what? I may not be remembering this correctly. I thought I remembered Dinkeldwarf smashing it. I thought I remembered. Now I have to go back and watch it again to know for sure. I thought I remember him smashing that mold. So I don't know. It's possible. I mean, he knew how to make the first one. He could make another one again. But there's still only one set of Infinity Stones. It doesn't matter how many gauntlets you have. There's only one set of Infinity Stones. Thanos has got them. So it's possible. But I thought I remember him smashing it, but who knows? All right, what's next?
All right, was the gauntlet made just before this movie? How did Thanos have it in Age of Ultron and Odin a replica?
That's an inconsistency with the movie because even if it's a fake, because remember Hela says fake when she gets the Infinity Gauntlet. But how long has it been out there then? How long ago did Thanos go and force Peter Dinklage's character to make the gauntlet? So is this an inconsistency in continuity? Or are they suggesting that Thanos actually went and got that thing 20 years ago? It's just been that long since anybody from Asgard has checked in with the dwarves at Niveldalir or however you pronounce it. So those are the two options. All right, what's next?
Brian Rogers writes, love the jumping back and forth of characters. Was new to see. Sadly, of course, Loki, Vision were going to die. Doctor Strange was my fave. Maul was scary.
Oh,
Nick
yeah.
Fury. Hello.
Oh, yeah. It was a great end credit scene. Of course, we were all wondering, okay, is the end credit scene going to be a Captain Marvel call out or is it going to be an Ant-Man call out? As soon as you heard Samuel Jackson's voice, okay, it's a Captain Marvel call out. It was great to see Maria Hill in there as well. It was great to see both of those characters, even though both of them get dusted. So yeah, it was a nice call out at the end. All right, last question we're going to take here in part 3.
All right. Tila Boston writes, do you think that Thanos will actually be the one to undo things? He seemed to be regretting his actions at the end, especially with little Gamora.
Whether he's the one to actually undo things at the end, I doubt, but it's possible. But it's because he regret. I never sensed 1 ounce of regret. I think we saw a character feeling the weight of the cost, but regret? Nope. I believe he is such will and so much determination, and he has so much conviction that what he was doing was right. If you brought back Gamora 1,000 times, he would kill her 1,000 times again to get the reaction. Regret was not something that I saw. The full weight and the impact of what the cost was, yes, but I don't think he would have taken that decision back. He believed in it, and that's why he did what he did. All right, guys, that will do it for part 3 of our Avengers Infinity War stuff. I don't know how many of these we're going to have to do. We have literally gotten through 1/4 of the amount of questions. We've just gone over an hour and we literally got through 1/4. So maybe we're going to have one of these every day or every other day for the next week till we get through all of them, but we have more to come. I want to thank fact checker Jonathan. Jonathan, thanks so much for being here and doing this again. Where can people follow you online if they want to follow you?
Sure. You guys can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Sonic if you want it.
And you guys can just follow me on Twitter right there, simply at John Campea. All right, guys, that'll do it for me for now. Thanks a lot for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until our next video, bye-bye.